Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of The Last Best Hope for Conversation, a Babylon 5 podcast. We are slowly making our way through the series. I am Jesse Jackson. Joining me today is Lou.
Hello, everyone. How you doing?
And the podcast mom, Karen.
Hi, everybody.
So, everyone good?
We are.
Good. So, what'd you guys think of this one?
I really liked it. I think it's my favorite
Did
episode
you?
so far.
Oh.
Yeah. How about you? How about
Not
you, Karen?
me so much.
Oh, okay. Very
I didn't
interesting.
hate it, but there were parts of it I thought were kind of I love the part with the Ivanova,
yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
With her.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get into it though.
All right. Very good. Cool. All
How
right.
about you, Jesse? What do you think of the episode?
This is, I love this episode for both storylines. And I also, I'll be very careful how I say this. This is the first episode that on a rewatch, you go, oh, that was important, wasn't it? So, I mean, there's other things like there's a hole in your mind and things that you ever think. But this was, when you watch it the first time, you go, oh, this was a nice little one-off story. And then later it comes back and you go, oh,
you see where the arc
I see where that was. Okay. So then I had very good. I go back and forth who's my favorite character, but Londo is always in the top in the discussion. And to have a Londo-centric episode showing a different side of him was just a lot of fun for me.
Yeah. I think that's where I'm coming from as well, because up until now he's been one-note character to me. So this broadened his emotional appeal base quite a bit.
Yeah. According to the Yum Yum podcast, when it comes to political manipulation, Londo Malero knows where the skeletons are buried. His purple files hold scandalous secrets about Centauri's royal families. But when it comes to love, even wily Londo may fall victim to a plan to seduce those hush-hush tales from him. I was looking to see what else the actress who had played, and why am I drawing a blank on her name? Adira has been in. Not a whole lot of stuff that we would recognize.
She looks like Salma Hayek, though.
She does, and
that's what I kept on thinking. She really looks like somebody I know. But.
Yeah, I did like her in Jane the Virgin. Jane the Virgin was a series that I enjoyed watching, so I thought she was a great guest star. She really excluded a lot of sexuality, but at the same time, very likability. Not that sexuality and likability aren't, but a vulnerability, I guess. So let's just start from the start. What did you think of Londo falling in love? Karen, we'll start with you.
Okay, I had to think it was a little squicky. I liked her though, Adira. I thought she was cool, and also the bald cap was amazing on her. And I loved that kind of ponytail. That was awesome. And then her Renaissance outfit. She had like a Renaissance outfit on, which I really dug. I thought it was very cool. But the character also was good, not just how she looked. I liked her. It was the whole thing with Londo falling in love with her. The other way around, Adira falling in love with Londo, I found very strange. And it's not because he doesn't look like he's in the same league. It's just like everything, the way he acts, the way he looks, the way, so they were not a perfect pairing to me. And maybe that got in my head. I don't know.
No, I think that's a really good point. What I thought is she had been treated so poorly by so many people that his kindness to her and treating her not as a dancer, a sex worker, but treating her as a person won her over. I think originally, right, she might have been doing this just for a purpose, but then later she saw a side of him that a lot of us don't see. And I think that's why she found him. She started having feelings for him.
I 100% think that she had feelings for him. I'm sure that she was put there to seduce him, but I think that she developed feelings. I mean, I got that very clearly from the acting.
It was interesting with the Londo, with the two guys joining him at the club. You would assume it is a gentleman's club in Babylon 5, which first off, you have a gentleman's club in Babylon 5. This station has everything.
Mm-hmm.
Was it nice to see him in a separate thing. Lou, how about you? How about the romance?
Yeah, I hear what Karen's saying. The setup was clunky because it did seem predatory, because you didn't know at the beginning that they actually had some sort of relationship going on. You just thought it was a typical guy going to a strip bar and aping on this one particular dancer. But as the episode went along, we found out that they did have a relationship, and then that worked for me to deepen and accept what was going on between the two of them, regardless of there's a difference in age. It's hard to tell, because with these are they Centurions, or I can't remember. I haven't got all the races straight yet. What is Londo? Centauri.
Yes, Centauri.
It's hard to tell how old he is exactly. Like, he does look mature, I guess you could say, but he doesn't look like ancient. So especially when he's compared to his assistant, and who is obviously much younger. So I dug it. I think that the relationship probably worked on a level that has something to do with, because of the caste system with the Centauris. She was a slave, so I don't know if she was in awe that this higher dignitary would even take a glance at her. And so I thought that was part of the reason why she was enamored with his attention, so to speak. So I dug it. It was weird, though, that, like when you said, when the other guys showed up, Sinclair and Jakar, that he was openly displaying his feelings for her, because the rest of the episode, they're really trying to keep it on the down low, and they don't want anybody else to know about it. So that was kind of a bit of a disconnect. But
yeah, and it's not like they're bros.
Yeah, exactly. So as the episode went along, I dug it, but in the beginning, it was not. There should have been maybe a setup scene between the two of them. Like, he should have said something to her before she went on stage or something.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, but overall, I bought it, and it's just nice to see this Londo character expanding, because he's been pretty one note up till now. So
yeah, I thought it was interesting too, because Jakar and Londo do not get along. They are not even polite to each other. And to have him, and so I took it as Londo was so enthralled with Adira that he didn't even care who was next to there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the other way around, Jakar was joking around, drinking with him. And I thought, okay, that's strange, but also funny.
Yeah, and there was thing where they share a drink later, and they females are the finest things in all of life. Was very, in today's Me Too movement, that may have been not as kind when this was released in 94, but I understood what they were trying to say, and I thought it was interesting. What did you think about the whole blackmail and the idea? We find out that the Centauris are a very political race, that there is a lot of caste, and that almost a little bit unlike the Klingon route for assassination as a means of accepting power or going promotion. But this is very much the political side of the Centauri Republic, is very much talking about that the Emperor and the Emperor's court and all these people, position, status, title, these are the things that which we define ourselves, was a line he said. Luke, you want to talk a little about that?
I'm sorry, I was reading something. What was that last little bit you said there? I'll have to edit this out.
No. The whole point of how political.
Oh, yes.
How the idea of status and position and title, you don't actually get the job necessarily because of your abilities, but because of your connections and we talked about that. Londo's nephew got this job because Londo pulled strings for him. And the idea that, Tarakas, our bad guy, why does a drunken fool like Malari have the power he does? But because of the noble house he's from. So
yeah, that's, again, we don't know the whole culture and whatnot of the Centauri. So, and the fact that they're called purple files also has a weird connotation to it as well. So I'm not sure that part of the episode is the part I liked the least, to think that this is where or how he has his power, based on gathering secrets and the dirt on other families or whatnot. It doesn't seem like a society that's you would want to live in. So it kind of is like, it's like the mirror universe from Star Trek, where everybody's trying to get ahead by assassination or blackmailing and whatnot. So that's the part of the episode I really didn't care for. And I don't know if I assume that this is probably going to have repercussions down the road, because that's type of information it's like a nuclear bomb. Like sooner or later it's got to go off. So this might be one of those Chekhov guns that doesn't explode until season 5. I don't know, but
yeah,
that's the part of the episode that I didn't like that much.
Well, to quote my favorite internet about Babylon 5 Lurker's Guide, the episode title is a term dating back to Roman times, still used in Britain. Roman senators in the day of the Republic wore purple-edged togas as a symbol of royalty, since purple dye was very expensive, and the House of Lords wear purple robes for state occasions. And when someone is made a peer in the UK, they are said to have been raised to the purple. So, and hereditary peers are born to the purple. So I think that was the implication, that their purple files are because of his position and everything. And then there is a line later, and the reason I bring this up is there is a book of quotes from Babylon 5, and in purple, I'm stunning. So I thought of that because that is a line that gets said later. So that thought of that. Yeah, I think one of the things I liked about this, and as we get into the series more, politics play a bigger role, similar to The Expanse. You know, how The Expanse kind of is a lot of political drama in space. This was the first time I'd seen that. We don't really understand how the Federation works and, you know, all this stuff. So I always thought that was interesting. How about you, Karen?
Yeah, I actually don't find it dissimilar to how politics work nowadays, to be honest. Nepotism, I'm 100% sure there's a lot of blackmail going on, because otherwise, how could you even fathom some of the things that go on? So, I mean, it's not a huge stretch to think that he got his power that way. I did not at first think of the purple connection, but I watched it twice and I thought, I wonder if that relates to like the purple robes that kings used to wear and all that. Just a passing thought. And then I read the Lurker's Guide and I was like, oh, okay, I guess that was right. And especially since the title of the episode has purple in it. And I thought that, I don't know, it seems so normalized to him, the whole blackmail thing. And the fact that everybody knows that's how things work there, which that part really hit me, that's just so prevalent that he doesn't care. You know, he doesn't care that people know. So yeah, believable, yes, because of what we are dealing with presently, not to get into politics, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, sure.
And also kind of squicky again. I don't like thinking about that. And just the fact that it's so, he's so blasé about it.
Yeah, that really well said. By the way, I forgot to bring up at the beginning, this was not written by J. Michael Straczynski. Larry DiTillio, who is a pretty well-known science fiction writer, had written the episode. And the reason I bring that up, that's a rarity. Once we hit season 2, and I think at least through 4, I believe, JMS writes every episode. So and of course, I'm sure as he was involved, he did a rewrite. I do think yeah, go ahead. I saw
that in the Lurker's Guide as well. And I thought that this was pretty seamless.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like someone else wrote it. It seemed like it fit in really well, at least so far. I mean, I've only seen 4 episodes, but to me, it looked like just the same themes and everything running through it.
Which, again, just to expand a little on the being born to the purple, it explains a lot of his character, his sense of importance, his inability to empathize with other people. Like he's so used to just having things his way because that's the way his society's been set up. He has all this power. He's been a spoiled brat, basically. And that shows that, especially now, it gives context to the other episodes and will help probably in future episodes, seeing how he acts down to other people, like the way he acts with Ver, for example, is very blatant, and there's very much a master-servant relationship there, and more subtly probably with the other cast members as well. So yeah, it's interesting.
Karen, trying to stay away from current politics, I'll go back to a while back with the great Ann Richards. George Bush born on third base and thought he hit a triple.
Yep.
I don't agree with that statement, considering the first Bush was a World War II pilot and actually had had a pretty illustrious career in government. But it's a funny line.
Mm-hmm.
And there are current politicians, shall we say, that shall remain nameless, that do feel like they are better than everyone else. And make no mistake, they share that to them, when the reality is they aren't in any way at all.
Mm-hmm. There's a sense of entitlement for sure.
Yeah. And to have that arrogance and everything. I thought it was I always think of this on a sentimental or practical, of when you're giving a family heirloom to someone outside the family. Like, okay, wait a minute, this has gone generations, and now then you're breaking it off. Do you know this? I mean, that's, if you were bringing them into the family, that's a wonderful, sweet gesture. But if not, how do you know when you guys break up, they aren't going to go to the latest pawn shop and,
Right.
Like, can you put a rider like, oh, and if this ends badly, you need to give it back to me and I will give you X amount of credits for it, so it stays in the family.
Right. Mm. Yeah. And he doesn't feel like the kind of person that doesn't like material things. So it's not like, oh, it's just a material thing. I still have the memories of it. No, he seems like the kind of person that's like, yes, he has greed. I don't know. Again, he just, he has all those nice things in his quarters and everything. So yeah, that was weird.
Now, I will make a bet that Jakar had been at that bar before. Based on Jakar, I don't know. That is not anything they talk about later, but I'm just guessing on Jakar's.
100%.
Yeah, he's that. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, you might be mad at this, but I have a feeling Sinclair's been there before too.
There actually is a thought about that, right? Because it did seem there was comfortability to it. So hey. Yeah, maybe they have a really good lunchtime buffet.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
A lunch special. Yeah, I'm sure they
there's
do.
A really good lunch special.
Well, like Ron Swanson in Parks and Rec when they go to the stripper club. Yeah. And he's like, they have an excellent breakfast buffet. He has a whole plate full of bacon. Yes, that's why he's there.
Exactly. Period. There. Yeah. I thought of you, Lou. There was another physical paper.
Yeah. Universe Today.
Yes. So I don't know if they ever show that on the series, but I know that JMS talked about that there is the ability that you put it in the recycling and then it reprints for people who want a physical paper.
Yeah. Okay. If they keep it to Garibaldi and make that like a personality quirk, that's cool, but it's an anachronism that hasn't dated very well.
So. No, you're right, because
how many of us read physical papers nowadays?
I have 2 newspaper subscriptions. I subscribe to the New York Times and the local Dallas Morning News. Speaking of politically, when the election before last, when it seemed like journalism was being attacked, I decided to put my money where my mouth is and have 2 subscriptions. And I don't get a physical paper, but I on my phone or my PC, I do go through and read different articles. So that does seem outdated, right?
Yes. Okay, so is he from California, Garibaldi? Because
I don't know.
Is he a fan of the Dodgers? Because it's not like he makes it clear either way. He's like, the stupid Dodgers, is he rooting for them or did they do well against his team? And that's all I was thinking about. Is he from Los Angeles or Brooklyn for that matter?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He seems more like a Brooklyn kind of guy to me. But.
It does.
But you never know.
Really good point. Now I'm going to have to try to research that and find out. That's pretty good.
I don't want to go too deep into his character because I'm afraid I'm going to find out something. So I didn't research it at all.
Yeah.
I know how Wikipedia is. When they put someone's character, they also put all the arc they went through.
Yeah.
So no, I'll stay away from it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the paper. And I have to say, we talk about, I subscribe to the Washington Post. And again, it's because I wanted to put my money into journalism. But there are people, just talking about like Kindles and stuff, there are people that they have a Kindle, but they also desperately want physical books because it's a thing for them. I have a bunch of physical books, but I don't care either way. It's not, I mean, okay, I have to admit, when I go into a used bookstore, the smell of used books is amazing. But like, there are some people that just won't do electronic stuff. So, you know, maybe that did carry on into the future. Who knows? And I know there are still guys that want that paper. They want to go to a restaurant, have breakfast, read the paper. So yeah, it was weird, but also, you know, not weird. And I love the Universe Today. Name.
That's so a great name. Yeah. What did you think of our villain? I thought he did okay. He to me looked a little too villainish. In other words, I like someone looking polished, or, you know, someone that you wouldn't look at him and go, yep, that's a bad guy. So
I like bad guys that you can also sympathize with a little bit, because that makes them more interesting. This guy didn't. And also, when I saw him, I immediately thought about the Star Trek The Next Generation episode he's in, Cupid, where he plays Sir Guy of Geeseborn. Immediately I went to that, and it took me right out for a couple minutes. So I had to rewind and watch it again. But that actor is really good.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have anything against the actor, but his character was a caricature.
Yes.
Of a villain.
I did like how the gang all got together to help Londo, you know, and him asking for help and doing this. I thought it was very nice that he ended up getting her
emancipated.
Freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got her freedom. And I thought it was realistic that, oh, now that you're free, you can stay here in Babylon 5. And, you know, no, I mean, the reality is this was a bad experience and she needed to move on. And he understood that and cared about it. And I thought that made for a very kind of sweet, bittersweet to a certain degree ending. Any thoughts?
I like the actor Clive Revell. Been on a lot of stuff. He's very good. I was because I don't know the universe, so when they introduce new characters and especially when they're alien races, I don't have any context for like what his motivations are or whatnot. So it was really like I felt sorry for him because, you know, he was basically working without a safety net, and it was difficult to understand beyond simple need for power or whatnot what his motivation. I didn't know what his motivation was. So and when I thought, looking at him, says, is this guy another Centauri? He just doesn't bother with the Three Stooges hairdo or whatever. But that's what I thought he was.
Yes.
That's what I thought he was. So it would have been good if they would have established some backstory for him. And I know you only got so much time to do things, but it would have helped a lot because you know, this guy was apparently a slave himself and whatnot. Like I'm reading the episode summary as we're going along here, so I can contribute to the conversation a little bit more. But he just wasn't fleshed out enough. You got to have some context. And I guess they could have cut down on some other scenes. Like there's some scenes that weren't necessary, and I think they should have been given more to the characters. So I understand, like, especially with a science fiction show, you've got only so much time to get so much story in the episode.
Right.
And you want to cover so many things, but for me, the driving line should always be, you got to establish characters, or you got to make me understand what this character's about. And this guy was a blank slate. He was just, like you said, he was just like a mustache twirling villain for most of the episode. So, which is unfortunate because the actor was good. I like his presence. The guy had presence. Yeah. He was menacing, but, and he had that wicked finger tingler thing, whatever that was. So, so that was cool. And I'm wondering why security didn't arrest him for public disturbance or whatnot. So I just wish he was a better established, because it's a good actor and he was a little bit wasted in that respect.
Yeah, I agree. Before we move on, a couple other topics I want to talk about. I did want to say there was trivia according to IMDb, and I did think about this. You later establish Centauri males have 6 genital organs.
Oh, really?
That's established later. And
in this episode or later?
No, later. Yeah. And
so okay.
Trust me, that's not spoilery. That's not important. So I'm going to do that. But the reason why is they filmed a scene showing 6 small holes on her back, and they ended up not using it.
Okay.
Because insert tab A into slot A. Yeah, or B. Yeah. So just throwing that out there.
Okay.
I thought that is. All right. Talk to me, were you even more confused about the side corps because how Talia was used on this?
Yes. Because it seemed to waver depending, and that's just what I'm worried about, is the wavering on the story needs. If they need to get information, then she'll break the rules. If it's just a normal business meeting, why would anybody agree to having this person?
Yeah.
Like, it's just not working for me. I like the actor. She's doing a fine job, but yeah, it's a little too wavering for my taste so far.
Yeah, same. She broke it immediately. And the thing is
they gave a justification though, like
sure
somebody's life was in danger, but
right.
Still.
It's not just Londo, it's that this girl's life is in danger.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get that she would break it. And then she has that brilliant workaround of mentioning her to our bad guy. Yeah. And then the bad guy, of course, will immediately think.
Don't think of a pink elephant.
Right. Yeah. So I thought that was good. But I really want to know more about what's going on with them. And like you said, why would anyone agree? I mean, I guess it's because it's just something they do. I mean, is that?
Yeah.
So,
and I do agree, right? Like if I'm going to, like, if I'm negotiating, let's use something very, even if you're in the best of times, if you have the very best relationship, they recommend each side in a divorce have their own attorney. No matter how well you guys are getting on, it just, you seem to, they recommend that. And I've had friends who shared an attorney, and because they were so close, it went fine. But I would think the same thing, right? Like I would want, if in a business negotiation, I've got my psychor, you've got your psychor, to keep us both, right? Because I don't know how, if Karen, you and I are negotiating and I paid for the psychic, the telepath.
What would she do for me?
Yeah. How would she, and I don't know if it's because there is this code of conduct and these laws that they are very rigid about what they can do or not.
And I'm assuming, so far not. And I'm assuming if they break these rules, something horrible happens.
Yeah.
Because she really wants to stick to the rules, except when blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly.
So do they get executed? Because we know already.
Yeah.
You can't have these psychic powers freely. You can't.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a horrible penance they have to pay? Again, I want to learn more about them. So get Chuck off
if
on
I
the
was,
show.
like if I was Londo and I was going to one of these meetings, I'm sure that people are trying to develop technology to block their ability to read minds and that as well. So it almost seems kind of pointless in a way, because, or you would have somebody that's trained in providing a mental shield for you, or you would take learn a discipline to help shield your thoughts. Right. So it's, like just this kind of non-physical telepathy or whatnot is, this doesn't work. Like, based on what, and these are our prejudice. Like when you're trying to interrogate somebody, that usually has to involve some sort of physical coercion or contact.
Yeah.
So like you would think for a telepath, you would have to, like a Vulcan mind meld really to get anything useful. So like I could believe more of an empathic read, like what's this person feeling? Because that's a lot of body language and hormonal stuff going on. But to get into their thoughts as quickly as she's doing it, and to break that control, because that's a big deal, man. Like once you do it once, it gets easier every time, and then your whole discipline's out the window, and then everybody's going to be wanting to keep their distance, and nobody's going to trust you because you're not sticking to your code of conduct and so forth. So it's not working for me right now. But
I agree with all that, and I think, I know we will learn more, but I do think that there is a certain amount of hand wave that we end up going through. And because of the reality of this would be very messy if someone actually could read minds. And how would you do this? Very nice. All right. I did agree with you guys. I love the trick of mentioning if you mention someone's name, they are going to think of that person. And so that she got away from that. So she didn't have to do a deep scan. All right, let's move to the gold channel. So this is established. The gold channel is the absolutely used only for emergency communications, only by senior officers and ambassadors. I guess this is everyone else has a party line and this is a private line or something. And I love how Garibaldi, we've established very quick, he can be a dog with a bone. Like if he has something going on, it is his idea. I've got to find the root of this. I got to find the root of this. Not even necessarily for justice, just because his personality is, I've got to know what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
So Karen, let's talk about Ivanova's story and how she ended up breaking the rules, but for a pretty good reason. So let's start with you, Karen.
First of all, how sad is it that she's now lost the last member of her family? I mean, that was wrenching. But the main thing I thought was, why doesn't she just go to Sinclair and say, I have a really important family issue? She doesn't even have to get into it.
Yeah.
But a family issue, and I'd really like if I could use secure communication, because I can't imagine that Sinclair would turn her down.
No. And I think the only reason in my mind, and this wasn't established, this is just my filling in the blanks, is she is such a private person.
Yeah.
That she doesn't
even want to reveal that much.
Yeah.
And she doesn't even want to use like public channels.
Right.
Or even to tell him what's going on.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing I thought of, but also her breaking the rules.
Yeah.
So you got to weigh, how much that was so important to her to keep that private, that she completely broke the rules. And she's second in command, but is she also a hacker?
I don't know. Yeah.
How did she cover her tracks so well that even Garibaldi couldn't find her? And also, hello, Ice and Icebreaker. That was cute.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that we're seeing more of Garibaldi and we're getting more into his character. I like that we're also seeing more of Ivanova. And again, it was just heart-wrenching, that storyline, just heart-wrenching.
So Chris watched a little bit with this when I was here. He was spending the night and he came into the living room while I was watching it. And he said, "Oh no, keep it going, Dad." And I made a point of, see her braid? Karen loves that braid.
I do. I love that braid. I'm going to have to get Sean to try it.
Yeah. How about you, Lou?
Yeah, I really like the storyline from the character aspect. It deepened both characters. And anytime you can use a storyline to leverage to expand character for more than one character, that's just fantastic. So we got to see that Garibaldi, like you said, he's dogged and determination, but he's not unfeeling. Like he understood what was going on. And on the other hand, we learned that Ivanova is a very private person, and she had a rough upbringing, and so a lot of her reticence is now explained. And it was something fell off right from the beginning, because when Garibaldi first brought it up, she just waved it off, and I thought, that doesn't seem like her. She's a very meticulous person, so something was, that used to flag right at the beginning. And then as it played out, he says, aha, that's why, because it was like, this is something weird's going on here. So and this is like a B storyline that has nothing to do with the A storyline, but I quite enjoyed it. And that's one of the reasons why I like this episode much, is because both storylines were interesting. Because a lot of times in an episode, you'll have two storylines, and one you're kind of going, okay, this is just for filling time. But in this one, it accomplished some nice character development. So I really liked it. And I thought both actors played their parts.
I loved her talking to her father, and I loved how she kept calling him father.
Yeah.
Father, till he called her little soul in Russian. And she said, "You haven't called me that for," and then she said Papa. And all of a sudden she was a little girl again.
Yeah.
We do find out that her brother was killed in the war. that is not a major storyline, but it is. I did not know this because it's never established till they talk about this in the beginning, this movie that we'll end up watching, that when it went to TNT, they gave them money to do some standalone movies.
Mm-hmm.
And she only has one earring, and that is in honor of her brother.
Oh.
And
Oh,
they
okay.
show that in this, that if you look very carefully, you'll see she has one earring and the other ear doesn't have an earring.
Okay.
Yeah, Susan's just one of my favorite characters. She's, once again, I'm going to say that a lot about people, but this was so sweet. And to having that moment, and then Michael doesn't, Garibaldi doesn't even, he doesn't say, I'm sorry for your loss, or he respects her privacy so much that he talks around it going,
Yep.
this was a one-off.
Tonight
It was
we're
a
going to
blip.
happen again.
I don't think it's going to happen again. Don't you think? You know, and enough. He had his official, like, you can't go. I know why you did this, and I understand it if I don't condone it. And if you tell me this isn't going to happen again, we won't worry about it. We're going to move on.
And also that he let it go showed me that that's how he expresses sympathy to her.
Yes.
Is that he's just never going to mention it.
Yeah.
And he offers, like, companionship too, if she wants to commiserate you, like, if you want to meet up for drinks. And it was nice that she said not today, but maybe some other time. So that was very nice. The only nitpick I have, and again, I don't know how the context of the universe is, wherever this space station is, she's talking to her father in apparently real time. So I assume they must have some sort of subspace radio or whatnot, but just like, that's a hand wave thing, but you're just kind of sitting there going like, this, how's this working? Because it's a science fiction show, and as a geek, you kind of want to know these things. So that was always like, hey, how are you guys doing this?
I do think that's a great point, right? That it is. I remember when I was really young, the Isaac Asimov wrote a short story about that problem, about how long radio waves talks. And they were saying, and if someone said, let's say it takes 45 minutes for the radio to get there. If the person going back goes, excuse me, we won't hear that for another 45 minutes, and we'll have to repeat everything we said.
Right.
And the solution ended up, you keep talking. In other words, you put someone at the other end transcribing what's being said, and you just keep talking constantly. And then the person goes back, same thing. And then you have a transcript, and then you push them together. And always, that stuck with me. And I read that when I was probably in high school. But the idea of that. And so here we kind of, I guess you could slightly say, well, maybe the Gold Channel has some kind of subspace, and that's why it's so valuable, because it uses a lot of energy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I do think it's one of those hand waves where it's just going to be impractical for us to try. There's going to be a delay, right?
Yeah.
And we see now sometimes, like how often on whatever news channel you're watching, they'll go, and now we go to John Smith, and he's on the ground in London.
Right. And he's just standing there holding
there's
the mic.
Just a couple seconds, and then it's like, yes, I am here, and, because of that delay. So that's great.
Yeah, but again, this is in the future.
Right.
We would have never thought about, hello, we're using Zoom right now, and we're speaking real time.
Yeah.
We would have never thought this was possible even 10 years ago.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because the technology just wasn't there. So, I mean, we're way in the future.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, I know radio waves won't change.
Right.
Yeah.
But
because
we're assuming that maybe there's like boosters
Yeah.
in between that is relaying everything. And
probably the jump gates.
Yeah, it is the jump gates. Maybe we have radio waves on the jump gates. Yes. And Babylon 5 is at the far end of space. I mean, that's, so it is far away from almost
where's
everything.
that is established though? See, like, this is again a context thing for me. It's never specifically said where the station is, and it's driving me crazy.
I love that.
And and one more point on the radio thing, because like for a lot of things that we're talking about, it's our previous experiences with other shows that make this become sticking points. And for me, I always think of Contact, when they show like the radio waves traveling out from Earth, and like you're all the way out to the asteroid belt, and they're just hearing like the 32 Olympics or whatever like that.
Right.
So
right.
you're thinking like, okay, it took that long just to get that far. We're talking about a space station, which we don't know where it is. We don't know how long it's going to take. So that's just why those little things bug me, but it doesn't detract from the episode, but it's just like like you want shows like to really be firing all cylinders, so to be tight. And so far Babylon 5 has been a little bit loose with like we've talked about the Psi Corps, now we've talked about the space station and jump gates, and I didn't really go into it last week with the jump gate, but I thought after the episode after we talked about it, I thought like, that ship was destroyed. How did it get to the jump gate? It was just drifting. And then I thought, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Maybe he had a last pass or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
And speaking of technology, on the other end of thing, where that is kind of a hand wavy, that handheld thing.
Oh, the game.
Could they have? I mean, how precious. No, but it's lame. I get it. But this was just after like Game Boy and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they predicted almost like an evolution. I mean, it looked like what we evolved into. Now, mind you, now we're past that. Yeah. But we did have devices that looked just like that. And it was after this show was filmed. So I thought that was pretty cool that, they did kind of predict the direction that they would go. And I had to look it up because I was like, is this just after the football game? Beep, 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 beep. Or is it, or was there other stuff? And yes, this was after Game Boy and like the Sega handheld and stuff like that. But there was no screen, there was no color in handheld. So I thought this was pretty good.
Good. What else do we need to talk about on the episode? Anything else in your notes?
I have a couple little things.
Please.
Praying mantis still dumb.
Yeah. Yes.
What happens to Londo's hair under the hood?
I was going to ask Lou, are you enjoying the hair any more or less? Still bothering you?
It's still, I just block it out now. I just try to look at the.
But he wore a hood in this one.
Yeah.
And the hood was right up against his head. So did he lay it down?
Yeah.
Did he? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So there was that. He also says, get your feet moist. And why did they allow him to use the worst word in the English language? I hate that word so much. It is gross. So maybe that was part of why I didn't like his story.
Okay.
And also the brain probe. Can we just address, we're all adults here, right?
Right.
What did it look like to you? And that's all I'm going to say about it.
I hear you. Yes. Good point.
Could they not have used a better design? Because the thing that I'm referring to also existed back when they made the series.
Yes.
What were they alluding to? I mean, okay, they might have been alluding to the fact that his brain is, God, I hate to put it this way, but raped a little bit. So, maybe they did make it look kind of sexual on purpose. I mean, I don't know. But that was one thing. As soon as I saw it, my brain went right to the 12-year-old version of me and went.
Karen.
I love 12 here. Yes, that's great, Karen. Yeah.
So, and that's all I have. But the praying mantis, come on.
Yeah.
There's one line that jumped out at me, and I can't, again, taking into account modern times or current times. And when he's in having the morning after scene with Adira, and he says, I'm nothing more than a washed up old Republican dreaming of better days.
Right?
Wow.
I broke out laughing.
Yes.
Not that anyone would admit to that.
Yes.
Yeah, none of the current Republicans would ever say anything like that.
No,
I'm not being sarcastic, by the way.
Yeah. I'm curious about Jakar's assistant. Is Jokath or whatever her name was? Does she play a bigger part, or is that just a one-off? Kodath.
Yeah, she's there is a little bit of a story behind Jakar having an assistant, and you will see that will play out real world things, and it also, because of that, JMS used it weaving into the story. I do think
also the actress who plays her is really pretty
behind all that makeup, which is funny, right? I do think I love Londo and Veer, where like Londo's like, Veer, why don't you represent our republic in the talks today? And that's where you got that right.
Yeah.
He's getting your feet wet. And so that's why they use the moist. But it still is,
I know, but still.
And
you'd think in the future we would have eliminated that word.
Yeah.
Completely.
And I do, because I know what's going on. Right now, I think they're not giving him a lot to do. And I think that is on purpose, because later the character expands, as everyone does as you go through a series. But I thought it was kind of nice. Okay. And don't give away the home world was, kind of good advice, right?
Right.
Don't give away the farm. So, yeah.
And one of the things I also really loved about this episode that I forgot to mention was how they tricked G'Kar into helping Londo, and how that, meshed with their personalities and how they clashed. And it was like Londo was gleeful that he got one over on him, which made me laugh as well. So I like that.
Yeah, I thought that was really good.
A couple more stylistic things that tweaked me was the owner of the nightclub. I liked his makeup. He kind of reminded me of I can't remember the actor's name, unfortunately, but I just like the look of that makeup, and he kind of reminded me of a Ferengi.
I think so. I get that.
The way he was played. Yeah, and I liked stylistically, like Karen mentioned, the costumes. Like I really liked a lot of the costumes in this episode, and I like the Renaissance look of a lot of the what the dancers were wearing. So I thought that was good. And in general, there was some interesting makeup. There was one guy was talking to a girl, had like a face that was like a horizontal slit in the middle of her face. That was interesting. But I had to chuckle when the two hitmen that were chasing him, and Sinclair and Londo, they looked very 80ish, cyberpunky 80s. They were almost retro cool in a way. Like it was a little just kind of pushing that 80s thing a little too much with the blow dry hair, but he still looked kind of cool. So but it was funny. And
Tom Selleck, Terminator.
And Michael O'Hare, he's still not working for me with the comedy lines. He just comes off as smug. He just doesn't have the proper delivery, timing. I don't know what it is, but he gets that kind of look on his face. Like, here it comes. I'm going to come off with a real funny line. Get ready. Like, here it comes. Here it comes. I'm like, dude, just chill.
Yeah. Don't telegraph.
He's really telegraphing. So, but this was a really fun episode. Even though, like Karen said, the relationship stuff, like the way Londo interacted with Adira, it's a little, like I could see like cancel culture, woke people getting upset with that kind of stuff, but it's of the time period, which I think we all have to remember. So,
and one thing I should say to that's not the issue I have with it. I can see where people would think that. I understand. I put it in context of the 90s. It was just it didn't ring true to me.
Yeah, and it was a very nice touch that Londo gave Adira her freedom, which probably should be a bigger deal than what it came off in the episode, given that he's born of the purple, right? That's a really big deal, and it was played nice.
And I love the line he said, "Adira, you could stay. Now that we have seen beneath our mask, we could have great times together." In other words, instead of saying, "Hey, so you tried to blackmail me, whatever, I'm an old, washed up, let's move on." And I do, you're sweet, but the wounds are too fresh, and then he did. So I thought that was really well done.
And that's actually a better departure than mostly like I have to go and do this thing or something like that. It's just like emotionally, I just can't. So that worked better.
There also, I am curious. Talia says I haven't sent so many lies since I worked for the Political Bureau. I was like, why would the Political Bureau have a telepath? Right? Like, oh, yeah.
Oh, that would never happen in today's society. Never.
Like, you would think the world would be a pretty good place if they have all these psychics running around keeping everybody on towing the line. So,
mind you, I would like it. If they had psychics.
Good.
But
All right. Did you? We've already talked a couple of quotes. Anything else that you guys want to share before we get to our ratings, or quotes that you liked a lot?
It was kind of funny that both Londo and G'Kar told their assistants don't give away the home world.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was funny.
Absolutely. Good. Anything? All right.
Nope.
Yeah.
Is that
no?
Is that on
it
the
isn't.
Gold Channel, Jesse? Or?
Karen, what's your rating?
I gave it 7.5 quote unquote brain probes.
Nice. Lou?
Wow. This is a reversal. I'm going to give this 8 star laces.
I am giving this 8 moon faces assassins of joy. I love that line. Yeah.
Nice.
Karen, do you want to read? We got feedback. Or do you want to read the email?
Yeah.
Great.
I can read it.
If you have it handy.
Let me get to it. I do. It was from Holly, who is a regular listener to Jesse's podcast. And it was nice to see her pop in here. And I hope we hear more from her. She says, hello, everyone. Just wanted to drop a little bit of feedback for your last episode. The first album, well, more like CD, would have been Nelson's After the Rain, which is cool. That's a nice first album. Jesse, can't wait for how many episodes of Canadian artists. Burton Cummings from The Guess Who is at the top of my list, along with others that you mentioned at the end of the Soul Hunter episode, plus Gordon Lightfoot. So
yeah, that's a plug.
Lou?
Yeah.
And how many, my buddies and I, we just did an episode where we talked about great Canadian artists. And so look for that out shortly. So, but thank you for the plug, Holly.
Awesome. Yeah. My dad gave me, this is her again, not me. My dad gave me quite the music education while growing up. And for me, it was my brother, not my dad. My brother, who's 13 years older than me, which is why I got into Chicago in the 80s. Born to the Purple, the sass between Londo and Jakar doesn't get old. Veer needs a pay raise for all the gophering and interference running that he's been doing. Okay, but I have to say, he's still a bit toady.
I can see that. Yeah.
I need it to be better. And I know his character gets better already. So I'm giving it.
But right now, Stephen First is kind of,
sickly sweet. Okay, back to the feedback. Wonder what handheld game they turned into a communications device that one of Jakar's men was using while they were waiting for Londo. Why do I get the feeling that Garibaldi has every right to believe that ICE is not telling the truth, or at least someone was able to cover their tracks that they got in and then got out with no one being the wiser? Of course, Adria would be used as a pawn to cause havoc. Oh, poor Veer. He just may give away the homeworld without trying. Not that I don't admire Londo's confidence in him, but Veer seems just a bit too nervous and jumping for political deals. Don't blame Adria for double-crossing Trachis. Man, the gremlin turning out to be Ivanova talking with her dad. What a heartbreaking scene. Jakar saving Londo's bacon was probably not what Jakar had planned when they found the hidden information crystal. Wonder if this is the last we'll see of Adria. I really enjoyed this episode. I'll wrap it up here. Holly from Wisconsin.
Thank you, Holly. Yeah,
wow,
great,
thanks,
great.
Holly.
I love this. I love, and so if you want to give us information, we would love to hear for you. There are multiple ways to reach us. And as I look up the email address as we're talking, it is at.
And if you do send feedback, if you do send feedback, we will definitely give you a shout out and we'll read it on the air.
And you can do it in an audio file too if you want.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
An email. Yep. And we'll actually play
that
it
would be great.
Air.
jklb5podcast@gmail.com. Lou, how can they reach you?
You can reach me on Twitter at Stephen King Podcast. And on YouTube, I'm at Lou's Reviews. And I think that's good enough.
All right. And Karen?
Sure. I'm at Eleveria almost everywhere, Aleveria. And again, my blog is in my bio on Twitter. So feel free to click on that and get sent there. And you'll get a lot of links, which I need to update. But yeah, that's me.
And I am at Jesse Jackson, DFW, on Twitter. You can hear me talk about pop culture on the How Many podcast, Doctor Who with Charles, Skaggs on Next Stop Everywhere, and my Bruce Springsteen podcast, Set Lusty Bruce, where I am always looking for people to join me to talk music. All right, I think this is it. Next episode, we're going to talk infection. And so I would assume Franklin is a big player on this one. I will. Yeah,
he wasn't even in this
a
episode.
living weapon wreaks havoc on the station is the one word reminder. So I am looking. I do not remember much about this one, so I'm kind of looking forward to seeing it again. Any other thoughts before we get out of here?
Looking forward to the next episode.
Yep. Enjoying the journey so far. Each episode is getting more and more engrossing, so that means it's going in the right direction. And for sure.
And I'll also say, in regards to that, even though I didn't love this one, I do love the storylines that we're getting. So don't think that that's just me not liking.
Oh no, I get that. It's kind of like especially if you get a series that goes multiple years, right? There's that first season is bumpy because the characters are still the actors are trying to figure out their characters. I think the writers, and especially this case, it's a little hard because JMS wrote so many of them, and in his mind, he talked about that he kind of saw all this in his mind, this intricacies, but I think they're still trying to work it out. On a side note, I had not read the book Station 11, and I'm trying to I was watching the HBO miniseries, and I was 4 episodes in, and yesterday I tweeted going, okay, 4 episodes in, I'm just not getting this. And 4 or 5 people replied like, give it one more episode, Jesse. Stick with it. And I agree. After episode 5, I went, oh, this. And so I'm now up to 8. And so I'm really enjoying that. So if you guys have HBO Max, check it out. It's very interesting. Had you read the book, Karen? Oh, because I
haven't.
I usually the answer on a book is yes. Of course, I've read that, Jesse.
Yes, I know.
Yes,
I've read everything apparently.
That's so great.
Yeah. No, that's a great point though, because a lot of people on giving a show a chance, like for me, it's usually been 3 episodes or bust. But there's a couple of series that, like Farscape, it really didn't kick in until I think the 17th episode, and Fringe was really not until the very last episode of the first season. So it's tough in this world with so much content and streaming out there that for a series to get noticed and survive.
I had not connected the dots, Lou. And by the way, this will be a tradition, listeners, that we'll have 5 or 10 minutes of banter at the end of when we're officially done with the episode. Where I always think that Fringe was a great example of a series that weaved individual episodes with a bigger arc. And I do think that you could draw a line between Babylon 5, right? Because of that, telling an overall story and doing the series.
Especially with the genre shows like these, because they're building up a universe, and like Babylon 5 has a much bigger task in front of it than Fringe took place in our world, but this one's taking place in a made up one. So there's a lot of rules and context that has to be established in the first season. So you have to be patient.
And so you have to do
and everything till you figure that out. Yeah, good point. Great.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, hey, Spock smiled.
There you go, right?
So,
right? And that brings
there we go. Let's make that t-shirt. Hey, Spock smiled in the pilot. Great job. Well, Lou, Karen, thank you so much for joining me on this journey. Thank listeners for being with us. Once again, we are looking for new voices to join us. If you have been, if you're a newbie, you can join us on an episode. If you are a veteran, have seen all Babylon 5, we want you to join us. We're going to be here every other week, but you are welcome anytime to pick some favorite episodes and join us. Holly has said she's going to look at the list and join us sometime, so I'm excited about having her on that. So, all right, cool. For that, we will, the Go channel is closed. So, thank you, Lou. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, listeners. Talk to you soon. Goodbye.
Yep.
Bye, everyone.
Yay.
And scene. There we go. All right.
Good. Yes. That was good. The local sports station, Michael Irvin, the wide receiver for the Cowboys, they do a fake Michael Irvin. And I do not know how this started, but like 5 or 6 years ago, they had Michael Irvin, the guy doing the voice, doing school closings. And so the guy sounds just like Michael Irvin going,
that's
Grand Prairie schools closed. You you kids that go to
okay.
Plano High, oh, you get a snow day because Plano High School is closed. And it's hilarious even if you don't know Michael, but once you know Michael's voice. And this last time we had an ice storm, they had the fake Troy Aikman and the fake Jerry Jones. And the fake Troy Aikman was going, oh, Michael, why are you having me do this? You know? And so it was pretty funny. So good. Yeah, Jerry Jones. Yeah. All right, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye. And Karen.
All right. Take care.
And Lou,
Another
I
great
did
show.
not mean you to take on editing, but thank you. That is such a nice thing for me.
Yeah. Do you just need the audio files? I guess you don't really need the.
No, I don't need the video. So if you just send me the audio, and I'll upload it, and we'll get it out. That sounds great.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this 3 separate.
I'm curious to see. That'll be fun.
It'll be fun.
All right. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
All right. Take
Bye.
care. Have a good one. Bye. Bye-bye.